Dale Russell is one of the best investigative reporters in television in the country, winning many awards. The first was when he was starting his journalism career at WGST Radio, which aired a rare multi-story investigation into arson at a doctor's clinic.
He came to WGST Radio in the 70s, late 70s, I believe as a sports intern. But we made a huge mistake. We let Dale answer the phone once, and he picked up the news tip line. And it was a doctor from a Gwinnett County hospital whose clinic had been firebombed by other doctors. We ended up in front of the grand jury in DeKalb County, and we did a multi-part series that Dale voiced for us with absolutely no audio tape, none, because nobody would talk to us on tape.
Months and months later, it may have been a year later, Eric called me into the office and said, "You won the Edward R. Murrow Award." I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "Dale, that and a quarter will get you a cup of coffee."
One of the skills Dale has honed for his investigations is doing the one thing many reporters dread.
It's phone calls, it's knocking on doors, it's going to people's homes, it's going to the courthouse, and now it's Googling. But that's where it's all done, and that's where the best reporting is done.
It was his research skills that brought him the highest award in broadcast news, the Peabody. That was for a story about racial profiling by customs agents, which led to changes in how international arrivals suspected of drug possession were handled.
We had to get the data through a Freedom of Information request and then go through it case by case by case to build the profiling case, if you will. And we were able to do that and back up the anecdotal story that we heard from the insider who worked in customs and had told us that. But nobody wanted to talk about it. So we actually got all of the interviews for that story at night, knocking on doors and showing up with cameras at people's homes that had talked to us and said, "No, we don't really want to talk." And then it becomes a matter of, I got to sit there and convince them that it's going to be worth their while to sit down with us and tell their story. And it led to a total revamping of how customs conducted searches nationwide.
It's Dale's ability to have people talk to him that has helped him break stories.
He puts people at ease. He gets them to say things that you would not imagine people would say.
But you trust Dale. He's not going to go on air with anything that he can't support and he can't back up. He is the consummate professional, hardworking to the core. So I can only imagine him working 24/7 because that's who Dale is, a hard worker who gets the story and is determined to tell the truth.
You've got to be able to invest in the people who contribute to your story, and you need to make them feel respected, listened to, and important. That's why I think Dale is so successful.
Dale's ability to work sources is epitomized in the story he broke about Herman Cain's relationship with women during the 2012 Republican presidential campaign.
It really ultimately came down to, how do we convince this woman, Ginger White, to sit down and talk to us when national media were asking her the same thing? And ultimately she agreed. Then the next step is, how do we prove what she's saying? She had some documentation, and the documentation was critical, phone records and things like that, and we had that. But ultimately we needed to talk to Mr. Cain, and he pretty much backed up a good part of her story in the very first phone interview that we had. They admitted that he knew her, admitted that he had made some payments to her, told me that his wife didn't know about it.
Dale does not work these stories by himself.
Mike Carlin, terrific journalist, good leader, and he supervises the I-team directly on a daily basis. And from the days of Belcher to Russell to Randy to Virginia Ellis and Dana Fowle, I believe that I-team has lived up and surpassed any expectation that you should have for a local television news unit.
I actually care a great deal about the people that I'm covering. It's just a part of my nature. But at the same time, I hate bullies. I don't like to see people get away with something, and I don't like to see the public trust violated. And so I'm absolutely galvanized by that and will follow that trail relentlessly. But if you dig and dig and dig, you can bring stories to the forefront that will make this a better community when you leave.
Dale Russell, Atlanta Press Club Hall of Fame.